Your first 3 minutes in heaven. This is what happens to every saved soul. If your heart stopped beating right now, not 5 minutes from now, not tomorrow, right now, what would happen to you? I'm not talking about your body. I mean you, the real you, the soul inside that body, the one that's felt pain, dreamed big, questioned God, whispered prayers in the dark, and hoped there was more than just this world. One breath is all it takes. One moment where everything earthly fades and you step into something so real, so overwhelming, it makes everything you've ever known feel like a shadow. You're not fading into black. You're not slipping into nothing. You're waking up, eyes wide open, aware, alive like never before. And if you're saved, if Jesus Christ knows your name, then what happens next will shake you to your core in the most glorious way. Because heaven is not some foggy fairy tale. It's not clouds and harps. It's home. It's the place your soul has been aching for, without even realizing it. And in those first 3 minutes, those first eternal, holy, weightless minutes, you'll experience more beauty, more truth, more love than a lifetime on earth could ever give you. I want to take you there. Not in theory, not in myth, but step by step, heartbeat by heartbeat, into what the Bible actually says happens the moment a believer leaves this world and enters glory. Because you're closer than you think, closer than your next breath. Part 1. The final heartbeat. Leaving Earth behind. There's no countdown, no warning siren, no whisper in the air that says this is your last breath. It just happens. One final inhale, a stillness, and suddenly everything changes. The noise of the world fades. The weight of your body disappears. You don't feel fear, and you're not confused. In fact, it's the clearest you've ever been. You are fully you, but finally free. For the first time, your soul is not tethered to weakness, sickness, or pain. Every burden you carried gone. The ache in your body, the anxiety that once clouded your mind, the regrets you wore like armor, all of it falls away in an instant. You're not less alive, you're more, as if your entire life on earth was a long dream and now you're finally awake. You're not floating in the dark. You're not drifting in silence. You are conscious, aware, at peace. You feel lighter, not like air, but like purpose. There's no more sense of time. Seconds don't tick forward. You're outside of the clock now, and in that sacred stillness, there's something else, someone else. You feel him. Not as a distant figure on a faraway throne, but close, closer than breath. A presence so overwhelming it calms every question in your soul. He hasn't said a word yet, but his nearness speaks louder than language. You realize this is the one who made you. This is the one who walked with you every day, even when you didn't see him. The one who held you when you cried, who carried you when you fell. And now he is welcoming you, not with a shout, not with a spectacle, but with presence. And that presence is everything. Ecclesiastes 12:7 says, "The dust returns to the ground it came from, and the spirit returns to God who gave it." That moment is now. Your body may have fallen still on earth, but your spirit has risen to meet eternity. You've stepped through the veil that separates what is temporary from what is eternal. And as the reality of that sets in, there is no fear, only peace. Not the kind you read about, but the kind that fills your being. The kind that whispers, "You're home." Part 2. Surrounded by glory, escorted by angels. You're not alone. You were never meant to take this journey by yourself. And in the next breath beyond the veil, you know that. Before you can even begin to ask what's next, they're already with you. Angels. Not shadows or ghosts or distant shapes, but beings of light and power. They don't announce themselves with words. Their presence says it all. You're not here by accident. You were expected. Two of them stand beside you, strong and radiant, more real than anything your earthly eyes ever saw. They are not intimidating. There is no fear in their presence, only awe. Their faces shine with a glory that doesn't burn. It welcomes. You don't feel like a stranger being picked up by strangers. You feel like a child being carried home. They don't speak, yet somehow you understand them. They know you. They've watched over you. They were sent for this moment. Luke 16:22 says that when the beggar died, angels carried him to Abraham's side, not followed, not pointed in the right direction, carried, just like you are now. The movement begins. It's not a rush. It's not a blur. Every motion feels intentional, filled with purpose. You're not being pulled through space. You're being guided through realms. The atmosphere begins to shift. It's like moving from fog into sunlight, from shadow into clarity. Everything ahead of you pulses with life. Not the kind you knew on Earth. Something pure, eternal. You glance back for just a moment. Earth is still there, still spinning, still moving. But you feel no pull toward it. No sadness. No regret. Not because you've forgotten, but because you finally understand. Everything you chased, everything you lost sleep over, it stayed behind with your last breath. What you used to think mattered so much doesn't even register here. The only thing that matters now is where you're going and who you're about to meet. The angels carry you forward, not with effort, but with ease. You're not just being taken somewhere, you're being welcomed. The light grows warmer, not harsh, but inviting. The space around you hums with power. But it's not chaotic. There's order, peace, rhythm. You are not wandering through the unknown. You're being led through something that was prepared before the foundation of the world. And the closer you get, the more your soul begins to respond. Not with fear, not even with questions, but with longing. A holy anticipation rises in you. You're not just heading into a place, you're heading into presence. And your spirit knows it. You've never been here before, but somehow it already feels like home. Part 3. The veil between worlds, crossing into eternity. You don't see a door. There's no gate creaking open or sign marking the transition. It's more like a shift, so subtle and yet so profound. You realize it's happened only after you're already through. One moment, you're moving with the angels through something that feels like the edge of a dream, and the next you're in it. Heaven. The place your spirit has always been reaching for. It doesn't feel foreign. It doesn't feel imagined. It feels like stepping into reality for the very first time. Everything your senses can take in is alive. Colors richer than any earthly palette. Sounds layered with beauty and meaning. Air that carries peace instead of oxygen. There is light everywhere, but there are no shadows. There is motion, but no chaos. You're not overwhelmed. You're completed. The very air you move through carries the weight of glory. It's not a weight that crushes. It anchors, like something that tells your soul, this is where you were always meant to be. You realize you're not dreaming. You are fully awake, fully aware. The dust of the world has fallen off you, and now your spirit walks in a place that never knew death. There's no sense of time here, no ticking clock. Yet if you could measure what's already happened, it would still only be minutes. And already your heart has been healed in ways you didn't know it was broken. Every crack sealed, every wound soothed, every unanswered ache met with a presence so powerful it replaces every question with peace. You haven't seen the city yet. You haven't walked the streets of gold or seen the throne. But you've crossed the line, the invisible barrier between temporary and eternal. And now you stand in the realm of glory. The angels slow. Not because they're tired, but because the atmosphere demands reverence. This isn't just beautiful, it's holy. You don't need to be told to be still. Your soul already knows. This is sacred ground. Music begins to rise, not the kind played with instruments, but the kind that seems to come from the very air, from the light itself. It's not just heard, it's felt. It moves through you, awakening something deep inside you that never found words on earth. It's not entertainment. It's worship, and without effort your spirit joins in, not with a song you learned, but one you've always known. And then you feel it again, that presence. Closer now, stronger. Your soul begins its tremble, not with fear, but with awe. The angels step aside, and though your eyes haven't seen him yet, every part of heaven seems to respond to one thing: he's near. This is not the end of your journey. It's only just beginning. But already, you understand. Crossing the veil didn't lead you into a place. It led you into a person. Part 4. Face to Face. The first glimpse of Jesus. You haven't seen him yet, but you feel it. He's coming. Every part of heaven reacts to his nearness. The light deepens. The music shifts. Even the air feels like it bows. There's no announcement, no trumpet blast. But your soul knows the king is near. And then it happens. You see him, not all at once, not in a way that your earthly mind could ever fully comprehend, but enough to break you open in the most glorious way. You don't need anyone to tell you who he is. You know, your spirit recognizes him before your eyes do. This is the one you prayed to, the one you trusted, the one you wondered about, cried out to, sometimes even doubted. And now he stands before you not as a distant idea, not as a painting or a memory, but alive, real, glorious. His eyes are the first thing you see. They are fire, not flames that destroy, but flames that purify. They search you, not to expose you, but to fully see you. And when he looks at you, every mask you ever wore falls away. Every defense, every false layer, every excuse, every scar, they dissolve. But instead of shame, you feel something you never expected in such purity. You feel cherished. You fall to your knees, not because someone tells you to, but because you can't stand under the weight of his glory. And truthfully, you don't want to. Your soul bows willingly, eagerly, as if it's been waiting your whole life to kneel in this moment. The longing, the ache, the search, it ends here, in him. This is not just the judge of the world. This is the Savior who carried your cross, the shepherd who chased you down when you wandered, the friend who stayed close in the silence, the Redeemer who saw every sin yet still chose the nails. His presence is overwhelming, but not distant. He's not standing high above, untouchable. He's close, closer than you dreamed possible. And his face, more beautiful than any words you ever read, more radiant than anything you've seen, is the face of love, of power, of holiness, of mercy. Revelation 22:4 says they will see his face. And now you wonder why that verse stands alone in its weight. Because nothing else compares to this. No reward, no mansion, no crown, not even the joy of reunion with loved ones can match the glory of this moment. You're not thinking about your life on earth anymore. You're not thinking about the things you lost or the things you feared. Your soul is consumed with one reality. You are finally with Jesus. Not the idea of him, not the hope of him, him. And in that holy stillness, as the King of all creation looks into your eyes, you realize something deeper than you've ever known. You were never forgotten, never overlooked, never unloved. This is the reward, his presence, his face. And even if heaven held nothing else, this would still be enough. Part 5. Divine Clarity. Understanding everything. You haven't asked a single question, but answers begin to flood your soul. Not through words, not through explanation, but through a sudden, complete knowing. It's like waking up in a place where everything broken is made whole, not just around you, but within you. The confusion, the pain, the things you wrestled with for years, they all make sense now. Not gradually, instantly. The moment your eyes met his, your heart unlocked something earth could never give. You see now, you understand. 1 Corinthians 13:12 said it would be this way. Now I know in part, then I shall know fully, even as I am fully known. That moment has come. You are fully known, and now fully understanding. Not just what happened in your life, but why. The heartbreaks that shattered you, the prayers that seemed unanswered, the doors that closed, the nights you thought you were alone, they weren't meaningless. They weren't missed. They weren't God's silence. They were preparation, formation. They were the hands of a loving Father shaping eternity inside of you. You see it all now. The times you thought you were too broken to be used. Those were the seasons where His glory was being carved deepest into you. The moments you nearly gave up. Those were the ones heaven celebrated when you kept going. The quiet acts of obedience no one saw. God saw, and now He shows you what they became. How your struggle birthed someone else's freedom. How your faith planted seeds that grew in places you never visited. How every tear had a purpose. And then you see yourself not as you saw yourself, but as He always did. Not the failure, not the doubter, not the one who didn't measure up. You see the one He loved, pursued, redeemed. You see how His grace held you together, how your weakness became His strength, how your not enough was always more than enough in His hands. There is no shame here, no replay of guilt, no accusations. You don't stand before Him condemned. You stand before Him crowned in mercy. You are not hearing the voice of a critic. You're hearing the voice of the one who whispered to you in the middle of the night, "I'm still here." And He was, through it all. You begin to understand something else. Something far bigger than your own story. You were part of His. Every breath, every step, every act of faith, every stumble, every prayer. It was woven into His eternal purpose. Not one moment was wasted, not one day forgotten. Your soul fills with a peace so deep, it silences every memory that ever made you feel like you weren't enough. That lie dies here. In its place is something stronger than truth. It's love, a love that explains everything, redeems everything, restores everything. And in the stillness of that moment, with heaven around you and the eyes of Jesus upon you, a single truth rises like a song in your spirit. I was never alone. You were carried, held, known, and now home. Part 6. A joyful reunion. Heaven knows your name. As the weight of divine love settles in your soul, you begin to notice movement around you. Soft at first, like a breeze that carries joy, then clearer footsteps, voices, laughter. You turn, and what you see next takes your breath away all over again. They're running toward you. Not angels this time? People, familiar faces, loved ones, some you knew deeply on earth, Paris siblings, friends, mentors. Others you recognize from photos and stories, those you never met, but whose lives were tied to yours by blood or faith. And then there are those you don't recognize at all, yet somehow your spirit knows them and theirs know you. They're not approaching in silence. They're shouting with joy, radiant with celebration, faces beaming with something far deeper than a smile, something eternal. They're not here to question or judge. They're here to welcome you, to celebrate that you made it, and not just because you believed, but because you endured. You're embraced, surrounded, pulled into a holy reunion where every embrace carries memory and meaning. There's no awkwardness, no small talk, no tension. Only love. The kind that's free from every crack and flaw that relationships held on earth. The kind that's pure, complete, unshakable. Hebrews 12:22-3 says, "You've come to Mount Zion, city of the living God, to thousands upon thousands in joyful assembly, to the church of the firstborn, whose names are written in heaven." That moment is now. This is that assembly. And you're not a visitor, you're one of them. There are people here who prayed for your salvation long before you ever made the choice. People who planted seeds in your life they never got to see bloom. People whose stories of faith inspired your own. And now they are rejoicing because you're part of the story too. Heaven saw every choice you made in secret, every sacrifice you gave that no one thanked you for, every yes to God that cost you something. And now you're standing among those who know what it took to finish the race. They're not just happy you arrived. They're proud you finished. They speak your name. And when they do, it doesn't sound like it did on earth. There's something in it now. Honor, joy, legacy. Your name echoes with eternity because it's written in heaven. You look around and realize the people surrounding you are not united by blood, nationality, or denomination. They're united by grace, by the redeeming power of Christ that brought them here, just as it brought you. And that bond is stronger than anything the world ever offered. These aren't just fellow believers, these are your eternal family. There's laughter, yes, but also worship. Not like a service or a song, but like a natural response rising up from every heart. The joy here isn't surface level. It's holy. It's full. It's forever. And in the middle of all of it, you understand something so simple, yet so powerful. You belong. Not because you were perfect, not because you had it all figured out, but because Jesus called you his. Heaven doesn't just accept you, it celebrates you. And even as the reunion fills your soul, you sense something deeper still, calling to you. Because as wonderful as it is to be welcomed by others, your heart is longing for the one who made all of this possible. And somehow, you know, he's not far. Part 7. The City of Light. Your first steps into the kingdom. You begin to move forward, not because someone tells you to, but because your soul feels drawn, pulled by a gravity that isn't heavy, it's holy. The angels walk beside you again, but now their presence feels more like an escort of honor than a guide. The crowd begins to part, not out of formality, but with joy, as if they too have been waiting for this next step. And then you see it. The city, not in the distance, not through fog or a dream, but clearly, fully, brilliantly, it rises before you, like something your heart somehow always knew existed, even though your eyes never saw it. The New Jerusalem, radiant with the glory of God, prepared like a bride adorned for her husband, just as Revelation 21:2 describes. It doesn't just shine, it sings. Every wall, every gate, every stone radiates beauty and meaning. The streets gleam, not with pavement, but with gold so pure it seems to glow from within. The walls are layered with precious stones, not for display but for worship. There's no decay here, no rust, no shadows. Nothing fades, nothing breaks, everything glorifies. You take your first step into the city, and something shifts inside you, not physically but spiritually. You feel it. This is what you were made for. Every breath you take, if it can even be called breathing, is filled with peace, so thick. It's like inhaling worship. There's no fear of being out of place, no sense of being new or unworthy. You are home. The architecture isn't made of steel or concrete. It breathes with life. Every building, every corner feels as if it was handcrafted with your story in mind. There's beauty everywhere, but not the kind that demands attention, the kind that invites it. You walk without anxiety, you move without pain, you exist without effort. And as you walk, you notice something even more miraculous. Nothing here is ordinary. The trees don't just grow, they praise. The river doesn't just run, It glows with life, clear as crystal flowing from the throne of God. There are children laughing, saints worshiping, heavenly creatures flying with purpose, their voices lifting a name you know well, Jesus. But it's not just a name here. It's not just a sound. His presence is the air itself, the light that fills the sky, the pulse in every step. You realize there's no sun in this city. There doesn't need to be. The Lamb is its light, his glory radiates in every direction. Yet it doesn't burn, it embraces. There's no sickness here, no fear, no death, no questions about safety, no threats, no war. There are no hospitals, no locks on doors, no tears of sorrow. You see people fully alive, filled with purpose, filled with joy. They aren't floating. They aren't idle. They are worshiping with their lives, their voices, their movements. And yet it's effortless. Worship here isn't an act. It's a state of being. You remember what Jesus said in John 14:2, I go to prepare a place for you. And as you walk, somehow you know exactly where yours is. Not the biggest, not the flashiest, but perfect. The details of it, the feel of it, the very atmosphere around it, it fits you in a way nothing on earth ever did. And you realize something profound. All those years you spent trying to find your place, your purpose, your people, this is what your soul was searching for. This is the place built, not by human hands, but by the Savior who loved you enough to prepare it before you even knew his name. You stop just for a moment and let the truth of it all settle in. You're not dreaming. You're not visiting. You're not passing through. This is your inheritance. This is the kingdom. This is the home of the redeemed. But even now, as it washes over you, you can feel it. There's still more to come, because the one your heart longs for above all still hasn't spoken. Not yet. Part 8. The voice of eternity. Jesus speaks your name. And then, in the middle of all the glory, the laughter, the welcome, the beauty of the city, you feel it. Everything begins to quiet, not in fear, not in tension, but in reverence. The atmosphere shifts, and all of heaven seems to lean in. He is coming. Not a vision, not a dream. Jesus himself. He doesn't appear in a flash of thunder or a blaze of spectacle. He walks, present, steady, near. And every step he takes toward you is filled with purpose, love, and authority that makes the angels bow, the saints still, and the air itself respond. You've already seen his face, already felt the weight of his presence. But this is different. This is personal. He's not coming to the crowd. He's coming to you. You don't run. You don't speak. You simply fall to your knees as he approaches. Not out of fear, but from a reverence so deep it trembles in your spirit. The one who carried your sin. The one who spoke your name long before the world knew you. The one who held you in your darkest hour. He stands before you now, not as a memory or hope, but as the risen, reigning King, your Savior, your Lord, your friend. His eyes meet yours again, and everything else fades. The gold streets, the shining city, the choir of praise. They're still there, but they blur into the background, because nothing compares to the moment when Jesus, the Son of God, looks at you. And then he speaks, not to heaven, not to the angels, to you. He says your name, and in that name, everything is spoken. The love you longed for, the affirmation you searched for your entire life, the security you tried to build for yourself, it's all in his voice. He says your name the way only he could, with perfect love, perfect memory, perfect joy. Then he smiles, and the entire kingdom seems to smile with him. There's no accusation in his gaze, no list of what you did wrong. He doesn't time you of your failures. He doesn't recite your doubts. He doesn't mention your sins, because they're gone, washed away by his blood, removed as far as the east is from the west. Instead, he opens his arms. You see the scars, still there, still bearing the proof of what he paid. But there's no sorrow in them, only victory. He welcomes you, not as a subject, not as a servant, but as a son, a daughter, a friend. And then come the words your soul has waited your entire existence to hear. Well done. You weren't perfect, but you were faithful. You didn't always feel strong, but you didn't let go. You struggled, you doubted, you fell, but you kept coming back to him. Well done, good and faithful servant. Enter into the joy of your Lord. And just like that, everything you ever lived for is fulfilled. Not in applause, not in reward, but in that voice, in that love, in that approval that comes from the only one whose opinion ever really mattered. You don't cry tears of sorrow here, only joy, because you finally understand every sacrifice was worth it. Every hidden act of obedience was seen, every prayer heard, every time you chose forgiveness over bitterness, faith over fear, worship over worry. It mattered. And now, standing before the King of Kings, you realize something that changes everything. You weren't chasing him all these years. He was coming for you, and now you're home. Forever. Conclusion. 3 minutes? That's all it takes? 3 minutes in heaven, and everything you thought mattered on earth suddenly fades. The fears that once gripped you, the stress that consumed your mind, the wounds you carried for years, they all fall silent in the presence of Jesus, not because they didn't hurt, but because they've been swallowed up in glory. You've seen the place, you've heard the voice, you've stepped into a reality that doesn't end, a kingdom that never falls, a home that doesn't wear out or grow cold. And it all began with a single breath, your last one here and your first one there. So now you're back in this moment, breathing again, thinking again, still on earth, still walling out the days God has given you, but now with eyes fixed on something greater, because you know where you're going, you know who's waiting. So how do you live today? You live with eternity in your eyes, you forgive quickly, you love deeply, you worship freely. You fight the good fight not for attention or applause but for faith. You endure, you serve, you obey even when no one sees, because now you understand heaven sees everything. Jesus sees everything. And if you don't know him yet, you can. You don't have to wonder what your first 3 minutes in eternity will look like. You don't have to fear the unknown. You don't have to carry your guilt one more day. He's already made the way. The cross was the invitation. The empty tomb was the proof. All that's left is your yes. Because one day, your heart will beat for the last time. One day, your eyes will close to the world and open to the next. And in that moment, everything will come down to one name, Jesus. When you stand before him, let it be with joy. Let it be with peace. Let it be with confidence that comes from knowing him, loving him, and being loved by him. Live for that day. Live ready.